Welcome back to Unlimited Reads. You're with Chris, and thanks for joining me today as I will be wrapping up the month of September, where I pretty much loved everything I read. So much so that 4 of these books were 5-star reads for me. So there you go. So let's start how I always like to, with some basic stats. I read 6 books in total for the month of September. I read 2,021 pages, which was 247 pages up from August, which I was pretty happy with, so I was a little bit more productive there. The genres I read 2 thrillers, 3 fantasies, and 1 general fiction book. The videos I uploaded, including shorts, was 14, and that was 2 down from August, but it was still pretty productive there as well. Now, my best performing long form video was my spoiler-free review for Tress of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson with 122 views, which was fantastic because YouTube have finally been promoting some of my thumbnails and presenting my videos so that more eyes get on them, and it just proves how popular fantasy as a genre is on BookTube at the moment. Aside from every other genre out there, fantasy tends to be the most popular, and you just look at all the channels and all the amazing prolific content creators who are doing fantasy at the moment. It is staggering, and it was very humbling to get over 100 views for a video, which is very, very good for my channel. My best performing short was a little bit of a plug for Of Blood and Fire by Ryan Carhill, his Bound and the Broken series, book 1 in that series, and I just thought I would use Opus Clip to actually promote the video that was attached to it, the long form video, and it got 546 views, which for a short on my channel is unheard of, and I was very, very rapt with that, as you can imagine. Now, the poorest performing long form video, surprisingly, was my new Jack Ryan book cover reveal for the next Jack Ryan Jr. book coming in May next year, which is Line of Demarcation by MP Woodward. So that was a little bit disappointing. I thought more eyes would have got on it because there is a taste for Jack Ryan content on my channel, so I just need more eyes on it just to boost it up a bit. But I like doing cover reveals. They're a lot of fun. Okay, let's start with what I read in September. The first book I will mention is Ordinary Grace by William Kent Kruger, a really good book that I really enjoyed. This was a read-along for me, along with the Quilluminati, the prominent BookTube panel group made up of Brian from BellTube, Mike from Mike's Book Reviews, John from over at Talking Story, and Dr. Philip Chase, where I was lucky enough to participate in the live chat in the comments just to share my views, and the overall consensus from the group that it was a really enjoyable book. It ticked a lot of boxes for everybody, and it had, it had a great murder mystery. There was coming of age. There was, small town America chronicled very, very well from the 1960s. It was just fantastic, and it was a 5-star read for me, the first of 4 5-star reads. Next, I read Tress of the Emerald Sea, of course, by Brandon Sanderson. My next Cosmere read. I had a great time with it. The Cosmere connections were great. The world building was sensational, and Tress as a character was fantastic, and just couldn't really fault the book at all, and that was another 5-star read for me. I also read Of Blood and Fire by Ryan Carhill, the first book in his Bound and the Broken series. It was brilliant. I prioritised this for the month of September because I did enjoy the prequel novella, The Fall, very, very much, and got hooked on the writing, and I just had to explore this series, and I can't wait for my copy of Darkness and Light, Book 2, to arrive in the mail, hopefully next week, so I can get a start on that. I'm hoping in January next year. November and December and this month is all tied up, unfortunately, but I'm itching to get back into the series because it is absolutely phenomenal. I love his writing style. I love how his narrative pace is very, very quick and advances the plot really well. The characters are richly drawn. There were so many outstanding moments in this book that, I just really can't fault that one either, which brings me to mentioning this as my third 5-star read. Next, I read Tom Clancy's Shadow State by MP Woodward. This was an incredible debut into the Rhineverse for MP Woodward. It was his first entry, and I loved what Mike did with this book. He knew the characters. and it seemed to me like he has been writing in this series as long as Mark Greaney, and that is saying something, because it takes a lot of skill for especially a first-time contributor to the Rhineverse to just immerse themselves into the story and know the characters inside out and do justice to the series, which I think he has done. The most exciting thing about after reading this book is I reached out to Mike and invited him on the channel, and that is actually happening next week. I'll confirm some further details shortly, but he has kindly agreed to come onto the channel for a live chat to chat about Shadow State and his forthcoming book Line of Demarcation and the Rhineverse in general, and I just cannot wait for that. We're just finalising a couple of details, and I'll get some further promotion out there, but it is going to be something I'm really looking forward to. And this was my fourth 5-star read for September. Next, I read The Widow's Husband's Secret Lie by Frida McFadden. This was a novella. This wasn't to be taken seriously. It was a satirical novella that Frida did. And basically, she takes the piss out of herself and makes fun of herself in this book, because there are so many outrageous twists. It is unbelievable, and there's some tongue-in-cheek humour there as well. And I really quite liked it, because I was after a palate cleanser at the time, and this was just what I needed to clean that palate before I started my next read. And this one I gave 4.5 stars, but I really recommend it because it is a fun, quick read, and I didn't realise how funny Frida McFadden could be. And the last book for September that I actually managed to squeeze in right on the last day of the month was The Life Impossible by Matt Haig. Now, I read The Midnight Library last year and absolutely loved it, so I figured I would enjoy this one. This one was a little bit different. It is very, very out there. It's about an aging ex-math teacher in her 70s who inherits a home in Spain from an old colleague, which was a mystery in itself, because she didn't think they knew each other that well. So she travels over to Spain and moves into this house, and it's not long before she discovers that this island where the house is situated is the nexus of some great power that emanates from the sea around the island, where it bestows upon certain individuals unique gifts. Which is all I'll say there before I spoil anything, but I haven't reviewed this on the channel yet. I'll probably put up a review mid to late this week, but I did like it for the most part. It was very, very deep on what was discussed esoterically in the novel, and yeah, towards the end I just wanted it to end. I figured that enough was done and it just needed to end. The ending was a little bit drawn out, but other than that, it was a pretty enjoyable book, so I will review this and get it up on the channel shortly. And that was a 4-star read for me. And now that brings us to my book of the month. Now, this is the hardest one I've had to do in a while. This was a very, very tough decision and required a lot of deep thinking with this, because you know, I had 4 5-star reads. How do you pick a book of the month from this crop of fantastic reads? So there's only one winner, and after much consideration, I just have to go with Ordinary Grace by William Kent Kruger for a lot of reasons. I mean, it ticked a lot of boxes for me. It made me cry. It kept me guessing all the way through. The whole murder mystery at the heart of the book was very engaging. The characters were fantastic. The coming-of-age elements were second to none. Kruger particularly stuck the landing for the ending. Endings are very hard to get right, and I think he did very, very well. He closed off everything and tied everything up in a neat little bow with a really nice epilogue or denouement, which wasn't too long, wasn't too short. I felt it was just right, and a perfect ending. The narrative voice he uses is very spellbinding, and I mentioned earlier last month before starting the book, or the month before starting the book, that I did sneakily check out the first few pages of a downloaded sample and had to pull myself away because the writing was going to draw me in and pull me away from my current read at the time. So it was a really good indication of how good a writer William Kent Kruger is, and a very deserving winner for the book of the month. Now, any of these books could have gotten the book of the month, but I think Ordinary Grace did just have that slight edge because of the emotions it invoked in me and the compulsion I had in reading it and just being caught up in the story, and the revelation at the end, the really big twist at the end was fantastic on who the culprit was, and it's going to stick with me for a long time. I'm still thinking about it in the present because it just had such an impact on me. Now, my highlights for the month, I think the biggest highlight for me was having 2 long-form videos get over 100 views. That's massive for my channel because usually everything's under 50 and that sort of thing. It was just very humbling that YouTube was promoting my couple of my videos there to get more eyes on them and hopefully more subscribers in the future. So that was a really good highlight for me. And the other highlight was just enjoying the hell of what I read. 4 5-star ratings came out of the month of September, which is I don't think that's happened before on the channel, and I was just having a great time with what I read. So there you go, guys. That is it for my monthly wrap up for September. Thank you so much for watching. If you like my content, please consider subscribing, and I will strive to complete or deliver the best content I can. But until the next video, guys, happy reading.